Alright, we're back, and for this part of the tutorial now, what we're going to begin working on are the wheels and the tires for the front and back. And so to get that underway, we're just going to start by, we're going to use polygonal cylinders for that part. So go ahead and create a polygon cylinder here. We'll move it into place. So I'll rotate that 90 now. Go ahead and try and center it a little bit and scale it out. About like that. Go and scale it in the front viewport here. And so one thing we're going to need to do before we get started is we're going to go about this by extruding faces around the edge here to make these little spokes that come out. And we can see there's 7 of them here, so we're going to need a number divisible by 7, and we're just going to go ahead and increase it by 1 to make 21 for the subdivision to axes. And now we're going to need to increase the caps here so that we can keep everything here perfectly cylindrical and not have to worry about, trying to use the split polygon tool won't work on this, and so it'll hopefully keep extrusions down to a minimum. So we're just going to do that by increasing the caps here. So we see we have 1 here, we need 2 for this, we need another one down there to push it in to give it that edge, another one to go across from that, another one to come up, another one to go over. So now we're at the very top of this part, and we'll go ahead and give 1 more to go in. So 7, we'll work with that, and if that's too many we can always delete some extra faces, and if it's not enough then we can go ahead and extrude, but hopefully it'll be enough. And now with that, what we're going to want to do is delete these faces on the back here, so that when we come in here to scale these vertices, they're all going to be planar and they're not going to want to go inwards. So it'll just make it a little bit easier as far as that goes. And so now it looks like we're ready to start scaling these. So we're just going to use the lasso tool here to select these vertices. So we'll leave the outer edges alone there. Go with our scale tool, and we're just going to scale these all in to come to this edge right here. So now we can go with the lasso tool, select the next row, scale this out a little bit. If we want it to be a perfectly flat edge, we just scale it to match the row of edges we just deselected that we just got done scaling. But we're going to let it be rounded a tad bit, or inclined a tad bit, and then now we're going to move these in. Maybe somewhere like that, maybe not quite so much. About like that. That works. Now we're going to go ahead and rope us some more vertices here. Wee doggy. Bring these out. Rope us the next row. Bring these out. We want to, again, some sort of incline there. So now we'll just move these out here. We'll bring this back out, but we're not going to bring it back out all the way to this edge. We'll just leave it about right there. Go ahead and round this up to Netstro here. Scale this for this edge right here. Now I can just go ahead and select this row. Don't need our lasso tool. Scale this out. And we're just going to bring it in a tad bit. We're going to end up putting a nut in here, so hopefully it won't even be noticeable that this goes in a whole lot, or how deep it goes in. Maybe we can put it back more, scale it in a tad bit, and then just end up deleting these faces here. Like that. And now we have a nut there that we can use to cover that hole. So now we're going to get started on modeling that. And we're just going to do that with another poly cylinder. Go ahead and move this over. We're actually going to move these out away from the car a little bit, and we're just going to go ahead and grid snap these. Since I went ahead and deleted the faces that were inside there. So now that they're lined up perfectly, I'll end up scaling this in here. Maybe about right there. And now I have to bring that back out. So we'll leave that, maybe something like that. This will just be the cover that goes over the nut there, or it covers the bolt. So I'll reduce this, just its sides. Come in here, select these faces. Actually delete the back row, we don't need those. So now we're just going to select these faces here. And do that. Oh, here, right there. And we're going to extrude these out to help round these corners off just a little bit. So bring these out a tad bit. Scale them in just a little bit too. Something like that. Go ahead and delete these faces that are in the back there again. Now we're going to select these faces in the front. We're going to extrude these to help round off the front part now. Bring it out to there. Go back to our scale tool. Scale these inwards. Maybe not so much inwards like that. Something like that. So just a little tiny scales. Hit the G key so I can extrude again. This time we're just going to scale them in, bring them straight in. G key one more time. Scale these in. And move them back a little bit. So now I have a little cover there. Come in our side viewport and get rid of these edges here that we don't need, these faces. They're right here, we don't want those. But now you'll see these things flicker right around here. That's because there's more than one face there. And again, that's Maya's wonderful extrude tool. And I really hope there is a way around that. I don't know it though. Somebody tell me. But for now we're just going to select all these and merge the vertex there. And we're still going to see some flickering around there. That's because there are still some faces in here that shouldn't be there. So we'll go ahead and clean that up real quick, hopefully. You can see them flickering like right here. So now if we look outside, we see that face is outside, so we don't want to delete that one. What about here? So that face isn't on the outside, only on the inside. We can delete that. Which means this one here is probably the same way, but we'll go ahead and check. It is. Delete. This one right here. Delete. So that one is the outside though. This one right here, delete. What about this one? It's on the outside, don't want to delete that one. Don't want to delete that. Looks like there's two there though. Oh well, we're still going to leave it. Let's go back to deleting the rows we were. No, not that one. Make sure we didn't delete any of these faces out here. It looks okay so far. Still have the flickering there, which we do not want. So it seems like one of these faces should be able to go. Maybe it's that one right there. Hopefully that'll help. Oh, it doesn't look like it though. You can see that goes right here. Maybe this one here too. You can delete that. It's the outside, so I've got to keep that. This one, delete these. And we still have this flickering in here though, and it is very annoying. No doubt about it. But it also looks like we need all those faces if we don't want to get holes in there. So we can try merging these again, but I don't think it's gonna, it's not gonna solve our problems. And delete history, don't need it right now. Actually, go back to the faces. And the problem is just with how this was extruded. I don't know. But we're just going to leave it how it is. It's a tiny little nut down there. You won't even be able to tell. So anyways, basically I'm tired of messing with that for right now. So we're not going to mess with it. Why? Because I don't have to. It's not that important. And it would be kind of pointless to keep messing with it when it's so minute. So anyways, we have this into 21 segments, 21 sides. I don't know what that would be, dodeca something gone. Anyways, so we're going to go 1, skip 2, 3. So every third one's going to get selected. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Because there's 7 spokes and 21, so 21 divided by 7 is 3. Shouldn't have to tell you that, but just in case you're wondering why. So now scale these out, scale these in here, like so, just a tad bit. So something like that. And if we go ahead and select all this, and view this in all the viewports, go ahead and select these back faces here that were created and we don't need. And so there's the basics of our wheel. Now what we're going to do is go ahead and create the rim part that goes outside. So we're just going to go ahead and create another polycylinder. So that right there. And hopefully we'll be able to curve snap this or snap it to these lines here. And it's not snapping to the right ones. And this was that snapping problem I was talking about earlier. There we go. So you really just have to zoom way in here, move that out the way a little bit. C key, middle mouse button, snap to the lines, and now we can rotate it. So scale this up. Give it a few more sides. 24 should be good. And we don't need that. We want some caps though, so we can give it some more detail there. Normally these aren't straight across or perfectly rounded or anything. Normally they have like at least one groove coming down there. So for ours, we're going to increase or leave that groove there. And 8's probably more than enough, so if it is, we can always just delete it. So now we're coming here. Actually, let's go ahead and scale this in. Push it back so we can see it a little bit. And let's get our lasso tool after we go into vertex mode. And go ahead and rope us some more CVs. Or vertexes. Whatever. Scale tool. And as you can see, I forgot to delete these back faces. So, yippee, we're going to undo that. I think I really messed that up on purpose subconsciously, just so I can say let's rope us some CVs again. Gotta love the lasso tool. Just the name alone is worth using it. Right? Or am I alone on that one? I'm probably alone. I'm such a dork. Alright, so now we're selecting these here. Scale these out. And since this is going to be such fine detail here, we're going to want these pretty close to the row, so it's just barely there. Bring this out just a tad bit. Maybe even scale it up a little bit more, about like that. Go back to the lasso tool. Select the next ring in here. My mouse doesn't get stuck. Checking to make sure that all these are deselected and all the ones that are supposed to be selected are. They are. So now we'll scale this up to about like that. That's looking good. Back to our lasso. Get the next row, or the next ring going around in here. Scale this up so it's almost on top. About like that. Bring those in. Maybe something like that. And that's not what I wanted to do. I want this row here. And I missed that one, so, okay. Now let's scale these up. Maybe even a little bit more. I want them almost resting on the last row that we just had. Because it's just such fine detail in there. Again, this probably won't even be noticeable, but we're adding it anyways. In case you're doing a close-up of the wheel, it would be noticeable then. So then, this effort would not all be for naught. So now take this row, put that almost on top of the last one. Now we're going to bring this in. But looking in this viewport, I'm going to bring it back out, but not out all the way. So it doesn't come, this edge here is not going to come out all the way to the distance that this edge is coming out. It's inside just a tad bit, but not a lot. And now we'll go ahead and get our next row, our next ring. Bring these out so it's just almost right on top of that last one again. And we'll get this ring here now. Bring it out almost on top again. But not as much, because now we're going to actually bring it in. So I'm actually just going to bring this in to make up the inside part there. Which we'll say goes to about there. Now we can get into our faces, and we can actually delete these faces here, so that these are actually holes there for the wheel, like that. And real quick, go ahead and select these vertices for this part. And the tire doesn't connect to this part of the wheel, so this would most likely not be nearly that fat. Probably something more like that. The tire does connect to this, so this might be fatter. This is how fat we want our tire to be. So maybe like that. And we're just going to go ahead and move this over now into place. You can't see it in the top viewport, which means it's inside of this area here. At least assuming this is drawn right. And now we want to bring this out. Like that. And so there's our tires now, or our rims. And now we're ready for the actual tire. And to do the tire, we're going to use a NURB cylinder for this, so that it stays nice and round and smooth. So let's see if we can snap this here. And yay, it worked. First try too. So now we'll scale this up for the tire. Move it over here. The front tire is probably going to be a little thinner than the back tire, since it is a sports car. Probably have big, gigantic back tires. Can't quite see it right there, but we'll fix it later. So hit the 3 key to smooth that out now. Now we're going to add some spans because we're just going to give our tire shape by messing with holes. So again, we'll go ahead. You can easily add isoparms to NURB surfaces. So that's one advantage to working with them, other than they'll be nice and smooth, which is the main advantage. So now we get this hole here. Also, you can use your arrow keys, which is good about NURBs. Jump from one hole to the other, or one CV to the next, or vertex. I always call them CVs. But whatever. So maybe we'll have that there. This next one will want to be pretty close to the first one. And then this viewport, we'll go ahead and move it out to be this, just overlapping the first one. So now that's it should be a pretty straight edge coming straight out of the tire, if you follow what I'm trying to say. I'm going to bring this one down more towards the middle. We're going to bring this one out just a tad because tires have a little bubble sort of thing on the side that do come out. And this one will have be our outer edge. So bring that out and bring it over just barely inside those first 2 holes that we had. Use our arrow keys now. So the right arrow key to jump over to the next hole. Bring that out just a tad bit more than the last one. Bring it over just barely inside in this viewport. So again, right arrow key. This one we're going to match up so it's just the same line as the one we just did. We'll bring it a little closer to the edge here. Do that with the next row too. So we'll leave this one here in the middle. The next row will be the same thing. So it'll come. So now we're starting to work on the back side of the tire, which can be noticed from like certain angles. So we don't have to do the inside of the wheel because unless the tire flies off, you don't have to worry about it. Then you'd want to do the whole inside of the wheel too. But for the tire, we just need to show that it has a back, so if the wheels turn and you're at a certain angle, you don't want it to just be all black space. You want it to actually have a shape there if you can. But if this were like a game or something, and polys matter, then you probably wouldn't want to do that. You just have this all be a flat plane back here. And use textures or something. I don't really know what I'm talking about. I don't mess with games. Sometimes I sound like I do, huh? Yeah, right, whatever. Okay, so now I bring this in. I should scale this in like so. So now there's our tire. A mighty fine looking tire it is. In fact, we're going to go ahead and call this tire. And this, when we look at it, you can see these lines here from the faces. We can see how it's faceted. We're going to go ahead and throw a blend material on there. So we're just going to right click over at materials, assign new material, just a blend. And we'll just turn specular up and eccentricity down a little bit. And so now we can see how it's faceted in the light. And actually we need to probably move this whole part of the tire back just a little bit, so this sticks out a little bit further. And to fix that, we're going to try a little something. Hopefully it will work. Because if we were to convert this to sub D right now, if we wanted to do it that way and look at it, you know, these will work for tires, but kind of ugly and they don't look anything like what they're supposed to look like in the picture. So we'll just undo that, and we'll go ahead and we'll try to smooth them, see what that does. And that works a little bit. It didn't lose too much of the shape. Now if we convert to sub D, it's not nearly as bad as it was before. And that actually looks okay. We could probably stick with that. But the other thing we can try is to come in here and select these faces on the front here. And we can try to do a subdivide on them to give more faces so that when we convert it, it doesn't round off the faces nearly as bad. But, no, there we go. So now if we smooth that out. But yeah, what you'll notice then is you get these little pinches from where the sub D is trying to smooth out edges, and they're not all uniform. So if we try to undo that, and see, we probably had better results the other way when we just went ahead and smoothed it. So we'll go back to our polygon smooth, and that's not looking too bad. You may not even need to convert it to sub D, depending on how close up to the tire you're going to see the camera's going to be. You can try softening the UVs. That's not going to do much for us. So anyways, go back to our converting that to sub D. That worked. And go ahead and do the same for this. And that works too. So there's our front wheel. And now to do the back, we need to go ahead and rename these now. So we'll call this rim. I didn't name this. Call this wheel. This will just be nut. So now we'll select all of these, and we're just going to group them. I'll call this wheel front right or left. Yeah. So now if you're inside the car, it's the front left wheel. And now we'll go ahead and move that to the back. And to do that, we're just going to go ahead and duplicate it and move it on back. You could leave it how it is now, which is actually fine in most cases, but since this is in most cases, this is a rather exotic luxury car, I'm going to go ahead and center the pivot, so modify the center pivot of that group. And so, since it is a nice sports car, the front tire is probably going to be quite a bit bigger than the front. Or the rear wheel is, whatever I said. Anyways, the back tire is probably going to be bigger than the front. Is that what I said? It doesn't matter. Anyways, so we'll do that, and now we're coming here and go into our, actually we'll just do control vertex for the actual tire now. Select that, and we're just going to bring these over. Can't really see it in that viewport, so we'll do it here. Give it a nice fat tire back here. So it's a racing tire. Maybe it needs to be a little bit bigger still. But we need to be careful because I don't want it to be too close to this ridge right here on the actual body. And let's see. So 1.03, it's a little bit bigger. Maybe we can squeeze a little more. Alright. And so that's it for the wheels.